All right, 5 on your sides. Mark Maxwell is at the command center at Kings Highway in Del Mar. We are awaiting a news conference by Senator Josh Hawley. Mark, what's going on where you are?
Okay, it's a very active scene here. Basically, we were expecting a press conference to begin about 15 minutes ago at 12:30, and any moment now you could see some city, state, and federal officials come up to the microphones and give us the latest information. Why is it taking a little longer? Well, because all these different government agencies have a lot of information they have to digest, so they're coming here, meeting with firefighters, meeting with police, meeting with several of the emergency management officials to get the most current, up-to-date information. We can tell you, after going through parts of North City this morning, there's a senior living facility, an apartment complex, public housing where they just got the power back on. Several people with disabilities living in wheelchairs had to wait for days, trapped in a high-rise apartment, couldn't get down that elevator, didn't have any air conditioning. The Urban League came by to help them yesterday. Senator Josh Hawley is on hand, Mayor Kara Spencer is on hand. We're going to hear first from Mayor Kara Spencer, then we're going to hear from Senator Hawley. What might we hear from him? Perhaps he could have calls to insurance companies. We've already seen him on social media write letters to big insurers and say, if you try to stiff anybody, if you try to shortchange homeowners, he's threatening them with a subpoena. He wants to make sure that insurance companies hold up their end of the bargain in the face of all this disaster. We could hear some more emergency and direct relief from Mayor Spencer on where people can go. Go ahead, Kay. Yeah, sorry, I thought I heard you talking there. So we're looking over our shoulder to see when they might approach the mic here any moment. We did just see a helicopter come back and land in this parking lot. Perhaps there were officials up there taking one last look at the damage. Of course, one of the emergency things they're trying to do here is get as many tarps over exposed indoor areas as quickly as they can. We've got some officials approaching the mic here, so I'm going to step off screen and let them take it over from here.
All right, guys. Everybody good? Can you hear me? Good? Wait for this guy. Are you good, sir? Good? Okay. All right. It's good to be here. I've spent the last few hours on the ground, just walking, just going house to house up in Penrose, the Ville, just talking with people out on the street, meeting with their neighbors, hearing about what they're going through. The devastation, I don't have to tell you, is terrible. I think it is hard to capture in words. It is even harder to capture in some ways in images. You've really got to see it. And two things really strike me coming out of this. Number one is that the federal government has a big role to play here. We need to get the federal government mobilized. All federal resources that can be brought to bear here should be. All federal resources that are available need to come to this community. Can you guys hear me over that? I'll wait. Good. So I look forward to working with the governor to get an emergency disaster declaration. I know the governor's at work on that. We talked to his team again this morning. Obviously, he wants to get that out the door as soon as possible. That needs to come quickly. When it does, we will immediately push it and ask the White House to expedite this so that we can unlock disaster relief. I'd like to see individual assistance come as well. We need rebuilding funds, communities, but we also need individual assistance. I talked to so many people who they're going to need that individual assistance. That's number one. Number two, to all of our friends in the insurance industry, I've got a message for you. You need to pay out claims. We need 100% of claims that are eligible to be paid out, and they need to be paid out in full. I have written to every insurance company, every insurer in the state over the weekend and put them on notice. I'm in the middle of an investigation right now in the Homeland Security Committee on insurance companies, including ones in this state, and their failure to pay out claims. This is a real acid test. If they want to make good, they need to pay out claims to every person who has been injured, every person who suffered damage, and that is so many people. There's a lot of claims that need to be paid, and we will be tenacious. I have set up a hotline already at my Senate page. We have an email hotline. We've got an online portal devoted. We're going to have a number set up so people can call us. I've been handing out my number left and right. I said, if you can't get your claims processed, you come to me. I want to see these insurance companies pay out these claims. These folks are going to need it. I want to say thank you to the fire chief, who has done an extraordinary job. As I was walking the streets this morning, just talking to people, I had numerous people tell me that the fire folks had been in, had helped them, in some cases helped them move debris, had done wellness checks, helped them get out of the house. I want to thank the police chief. Chief Tracy is doing a phenomenal job. You know, what I heard over and over from residents today is they said our neighborhoods are calm. At night, they are safe. The mayor obviously has done a terrific job. She's got this situation in hand, is really working it hard. And now the federal government needs to do its part, and the insurance companies need to do their part. So there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of rebuilding to do. But these are beautiful neighborhoods, beautiful communities, and the history here is extraordinary. As I was walking these streets, just talking to residents, talking about their grandmother lived here. They raised their children here. One family said they'd been here for 80 years. You know, those are that kind of community. You can't find that anywhere else. We don't want to see that lost. We want to see it rebuilt. And there's a lot of work to do on that, beginning ASAP. With that, I'm happy to take your questions, and I think the mayor's here. The mayor's happy to take questions as well.
Senator, you called on the president before to send in National Guardsmen and women to secure college campuses with the protest. Would you call on the president or the governor, maybe more appropriately, to send and surge manpower, National Guardsmen and women here now?
Yeah, I think, Mark, the governor is running this relief and recovery operation. I think he's doing a really good job. The Guard may be something he may want to consider, to your point. There's a lot of debris. There's a lot of need out there. I will defer to him on that. It's his decision as to whether or not to mobilize the Guard. But I will tell you, we've been in constant contact with the governor's office. They're on top of this, and I know that he will surge as much manpower as needed. But you're not wrong about the need for manpower. I mean, I can just tell you, just walking the streets here, there is a lot of need. There's a lot of need, and there's a lot of severe weather in the forecast. And just simple things like getting tarps on these houses. You know, a lot of the folks I talk to, they're in their homes, but their homes don't have roofs. They need tarps, they need help. They need some relief, so there's a lot of work to do.
Senator, is there a couple concerned that FEMA isn't on the ground right now?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What do you say to residents who want to know why FEMA isn't on the ground right now?
Yeah, it's a good question. My understanding is that the governor has the state running point, and he has the state and state resources. He wants them to run point and FEMA to assist, which I understand is happening. Listen, I will leave that to him, but I will just say this. FEMA has a lot of resources, and we want to see all of them deployed here, and we want to see assistance come in full to this area. So I'm going to be a dog on a bone with that. The governor's emergency request will unlock that, and so we hope to see that soon.
Is there a double standard? I mean, with hurricanes, we have 3 declarations of emergency. But we still, as you know, haven't had a declaration from the March.
Yes.
Are we talking about 2 months from now and still not having a declaration?
Oh, I hope not. I hope not. I mean, the governor, I think, will make his request, his initial request this week. I hope within maybe the next day or so. And then I'm going to urge the White House to move on that immediately. I mean, this is very severe. I mean, it's very severe. And to your point, we cannot wait months. I'm not happy about the fact we're still waiting from all of that damage 2 months ago. We lost 12 people in those storms. We've lost 7 here. The scope of the damage is immense. 7 lives, it's horrible to lose, and the additional scope of the damage is immense. We need FEMA to act very quickly, very, very quickly, and that'll be my message to the president.
Any idea why FEMA has initially denied before they got approved again? Are you concerned that Missouri, for either March or earlier this month, could be denied initially?
I'm told that we have not been denied from our earlier request. The White House is.
Are you concerned you could be denied like Arkansas?
No, because I think our governor is pretty good at putting in the declaration what he needs. And I've already talked to the White House about our earlier pending declaration. They told me it is in order. The Governor Kehoe requested everything he was supposed to request. I would anticipate another disaster declaration request from him very soon. I don't want to speak for him, but I think it'll be very soon. And as soon as it comes, we will push it hard, and I'll urge the White House to act quickly.
Senator, what's your reaction to seeing this damage, seeing what you've looked at?
You know, my reaction is that it's devastating, and just talking to residents, talking with them about the history there. I mean, talking to families who say, one gal told me, my son played in this tree that's now uprooted and lying over the top of her porch. Another gal who's 88 years old talked about raising her whole family there, and she lived in the house her mother lived in. I mean, this is the kind of tight-knit community that you can't just go find that magically. This has grown up over decades and decades. We want to see that rebuilt. And, you know, people's lives have been torn apart. I mean, this isn't just about physical damage, though that's severe. It's about the emotional damage. It's about a neighborhood being torn apart. But I tell you the other thing is, boy, these neighborhoods are strong. What I saw everywhere I went was volunteers out. I met one gal, they have no power in their house, and she said she's cooking for the whole neighborhood. And I said, how are you doing that without power? She showed me she had 3 grills, Weber grills, and a smoker stacked up on the sidewalk, and she was cooking for the entire neighborhood. Now that's neighborly spirit. That's Missouri right there. That's the best of who we are. So there's a lot of strength, there's a lot of heart. Now the federal government and the insurance companies need to do their part to help these good folks recover.
Any instances yet where residents are getting denied claims for insurance?
Not yet, but I will tell you, I was just talking with a gal who was on the phone with State Farm, who's the biggest insurer in our state, and who appeared before my committee just a few days ago. and their track record is not good. And I just talked to this gal who was on the phone with them today, and already she said they were telling her, well, we don't know when we can get an adjuster out there. Well, we need you to fill out these forms first. Well, and I said, I don't want to hear that. So she's got my number. I said, if they give you the runaround, I want to know about it. But can I just say again to the insurers in this state, to State Farm, to Allstate, to all of the insurers in the state, you need to pay out your claims. You're making lots of money, and you've made a lot of money on these people. It's time now to pay out their claims in full. Lauren, did you have something else?
Yeah, is there anything Congress can do to legislate expediting this process? Do we
Maybe.
need to make it go faster?
Well, and this is, this maybe gets to Greg's question. I mean, maybe we need to do something outside the hurricane context where we can get pre-declarations, where we can get moving more quickly. FEMA, the governor told me this morning, FEMA is going to be on the ground to do damage assessments, I think within the next 48 hours. So, that's good, but this all needs to happen real fast. That needs to happen real fast.
Senator, what do you think has changed since the last administration to move this FEMA process along faster?
What should change? What has changed? Well, I hope there's a sense of urgency. It's certainly, listen, this is my job to communicate a sense of urgency to FEMA and to the White House that this devastation is significant, the need is great, and we need to act quickly. And I would just communicate that same sense of urgency to the private insurers, because to be clear, FEMA can pay out individual assistance, and they should everywhere they can, but that's capped by law. Most of the individual assistance that people are going to see is going to come from their insurance companies. So that's why we need this investment in these communities. We need to see it come quickly. Yeah, Mark.
We're hearing some reports of people perhaps posing as FEMA or scammers maybe in the neighborhood trying to take opportunity here.
Yeah.
What role does the state attorney general have
Big
in
role.
fighting back against that?
Yeah, big role. This is an important point, and I know that Andrew Bailey, I've talked to the Attorney General about this storm. Often you get people who try to do price gouging right now. You get all kinds of scammers. So those people need to be prosecuted. If they're out there, they need to be charged, they need to be prosecuted. I know the Attorney General will do that. And let me just take my part as former Attorney General to warn any potential scammer out there, listen, what you're doing is illegal, you will be prosecuted. So my message is to the scammers, knock it off or face the full front of the law, the full force of the law. To the insurance companies, get with it, because these people need relief.
Have you spoken to the president yet about what happened here?
Not about this, but soon. Thank you, guys. Do you want to hear from the mayor? Anything the mayor can add?
Senator, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up to St. Louis. Thank you for making these requests. Thank you for being bold here. Thank you for having the back of St. Louis.
Absolutely. Thank you. She's doing a great job.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for me? I can give a quick break. You guys know this was an unprecedented storm. Okay, 8 miles of pure destruction, at times a mile wide. We're talking about thousands of buildings. Thousands of families are being displaced. The recovery work is just beginning. We have gone through the search and rescue. Our fire department, our police department have done unprecedented amount of work. Our city departments have cleared the roads, and we are just getting started in the recovery mode.
The best places for people who need housing tonight, where do they go?
We are pointing people to 211, the American Red Cross. We are transporting people in a partnership with the American Red Cross from the Ville to shelters. 211 is the best place. If it gets overloaded, we have backup plans in place. We'll be announcing those as needed.
Have you spoken to the governor about the National Guard?
I have spoken to the governor. The governor has been incredibly communicative with me, my team, the state, everybody involved. I have full confidence that our governor is doing our part to make those asks, to make those declarations, so we can get the federal assistance that we so badly need to get through this unprecedented disaster.
What about the problem with people returning to their homes that are unsafe?
That are unsafe. The building division has already inspected well over 1,000 of these buildings. We are working on color coding them so folks know the danger level in getting in. There has been some concern about condemnations on buildings. This is purely that we're revamping that, so there's some color coding. We are not doing any work to take buildings down right now without ownership involved. We are purely out there trying to establish a level of safety so folks know the level of damage that their homes have withstood.
But what about for people who return to them anyway, being the only thing they have?
Yeah, it is their only thing they have, and we are working to make sure we have supplies and other housing for folks, and we're asking for folks to exercise extreme caution when re-entering their buildings.
Do you think the federal government is moving fast enough?
Look, I'm hoping that the federal government kicks into gear here today. We absolutely desperately need federal assistance, and we are leaning on them to do what they can.
The governor's office told us this morning they're considering maybe sending National Guard, but usually they help sandbag for floods. Could you use the manpower?
We could absolutely use the manpower. Look, our folks have been working around the clock for 48 hours now, and they have done an incredible amount of work, but there is so much more work to be done. We absolutely need the manpower, and it could absolutely be helpful, and we reiterate that request.
With the change of deputize, thinking about building inspectors, you don't have enough. Where would those extra resources?
We are working on that. We are looking at doing exactly what you're talking about and pulling in resources from other capacities to help us out.
If their building hasn't been checked yet, especially with more severe weather in the forecast for this evening, should people trust their buildings to be safe if there's any of them?
If there's any question, please don't trust your building. We are very concerned about coming weather. That is why we've gotten out tarps. We're working out 2x4, all the pieces to try to secure your property. But the human toll that this has already taken we've lost 5 lives, 38 people have been injured. We are very concerned about that. If you have any doubt, please seek shelter. Please don't chance it. Your lives are too important. We have shelter for you and your belongings. We're working on ways through insurance and federal assistance to make you whole, but please don't risk your lives tonight.
Mayor, you still have a lot of citizens.
We are going to have a full report on that today. We are taking that very seriously. We will have more information today about that. I just don't have it right now.
Mayor, you still have a lot of citizens
with the American
who want to
Red
help.
Cross.
What do you tell citizens who want to donate, who want to help? They want to do something.
Thank you for asking. We do have our website up. We are plugging in ways for citizens to help. Please do sign up to volunteer. There are countless ways to help. We're streamlining that. We're coordinating it. We don't want citizens just going out willy-nilly because there are still so many down wires. There is still so much danger. Please sign up. Please do help. We have lots of ways to plug in. Please use caution if you do go out. We're not trying to discourage folks from helping the community. There's so much need out there, but please be careful. Thank you.
We're going to get an update from the American Red Cross now.
Good afternoon. The American Red Cross has been working very closely with the mayor's office to ensure that the residents in St. Louis City, particularly those hard-hit areas like the Ville and the Greater Ville and Penrose, that they get the transportation that they need to get to the emergency shelters. We're still working very hard to ensure that all the resources, so they're getting free meals at every shelter location, 3 meals per day. We're also encouraging people to call 1-800-RED-CROSS. As I mentioned, we want to make sure that we're actually assessing damage and collaborating with other partners to ensure that those financial aid that people are eligible for is coming to them. That will take some time, but it's really important for us just to have good track of information of people coming in and calling our 1-800 number.
What specific help do you need from our viewers? Who is the priority today? And can you tell us your name?
Yes, my name's Lucretia Cox. I'm the Executive Director of the American Red Cross. And our needs are to get the word out about our shelters. We want to make sure we know we surveyed the communities and they don't have power, so they can't hear us. And so we're actually today we're doing a outreach to make sure that they have flyers to know where our shelter locations are and to know where the pickup is. The pickup time for that, as the mayor has mentioned, is at 8 p.m. and it's at the Natural Bridge Save-A-Lot. And so we just want the word out about that. And so we just want to ensure, again, weather is coming. We want them to be safe. We know that some of the structures that they're in are unstable. And so we're just here to assist.
What do you want to say to people who we've heard are camping out of their properties, concerned about their belongings? How would you advise them?
Yes, we spent some time talking about that yesterday. We just want to make sure, I definitely understand that's all they have. They don't want to leave their properties. But it's really important that you are safe and you're secure. Your life is more important than all the belongings that you have. And so we just want to say, please seek shelter.
All right, we're going to get an update from Ameren on power restoration, and then we're going to wrap up.
Afternoon.
Can you say your name?
Yes, Landy Wentz, Ameren, Missouri, Senior Director, Regional Operations. First, I'd just like to show appreciation for the collaboration with St. Louis City, St. Louis County, the first responders. It's been just a yeoman effort for everybody working together. Currently, we have about 2,000 workers on the ground. here. Mostly 80% of those are concentrated in the city. We're down about 30,000 outages in the city, but we're at that point where the outages are now very difficult. There's still a lot of structural damage that's on our lines, a lot of vegetation. We've counted about 300 poles we've replaced or at this point and counting. And so we're going to keep working throughout this week to get folks restored. We got 650 vegetation crews out here getting ahead of our line crews to make sure we get the lines cleared so that we can get folks restored. And we just ask that folks kind of stay away from the work that's being done. We don't want you to get caught up in the work zones while our guys are out there, guys and gals are out there trying to restore power.
Say again, how many people were without power still?
About 30,000 in the city, in the concentration in the city of St. Louis.
When do you expect to have power restored for everybody?
It's kind of hard to estimate that because some of these outages are very tricky to get fixed. So as we figure that out, we'll get a more updated ECR. But we're going to be working throughout the week. They'll be getting restored each day as we work throughout the week.
Can we get a general timeline? Are we talking days for some of those tricky ones, weeks?
Yeah, it could be up to Friday for some of these properties, and some of them, will not get restored because they can't be because they're not inhabitable to be restored.
Is there any update on a moratorium for customers?
So we're working with multiple agencies and municipalities, and we're going to see what's the best way forward for our customers. But we're definitely working on a plan. Thank you.
Any other questions? Guys, for me, for the mayor, for
The curfew is in effect again tonight. It's going in from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. It's been very effective. We're very grateful for folks staying home.
Hey, Senator, can you clarify on the deaths? You said 7, but we've been hearing 5.
I'm sorry, total 7. 5 here, 2 south. 2, yeah.
Have there been any arrests for violations of the curfew?
Chief Robert Tracy. No, we haven't had any arrests at this time. We have people who have been cooperating. I think the community has come together. And then if there are people that come into the area, they are complying with our officers. We have, I keep telling everyone, 12-hour shifts. We're not only controlling this area, the impact area, but we're not forgetting about the rest of the city. But the curfew, just to follow up, 9 p.m. to 6 a.m., only for the impact area in the 5th and 6th district, not for the whole city right now. But we're making sure people are cooperating, and I thank you. And we'll tell you when we lift it, so until further notice, it's going to be on unless we pull that back. So thank you.
Still no examples of looting? Still no cases of looting?
We haven't, there's been some reported cases, but I have not seen any reports on it, and certainly we go through that. So I'm very proud of this city. I'm really proud of the plan that's been put in place because there hasn't been much. We talk about looting after we have these natural disasters that happen, but we haven't seen that in the city of St. Louis. Once again, very proud of the community, proud of the people coming together and not seeing any of that. But that doesn't mean we're not going to be vigilant to ensure that that doesn't happen.
Senator,
Yeah. Yes,
on the insurance question, so much
Yes.
of it is governed by the state level
Yes.
regulations. How do you envision your office and federal government working with the state level to make sure that they're actually complying?
Well, a couple of things. Number one is that regardless of who the regulator is, when a policyholder has a policy that says that they are eligible up to a certain amount and you've got the insurance company that's just flatly refusing to pay it, we've got a problem. But number two, we want to work with state enforcers because it's really the enforcers that are at the state level who can bring suit, whether it's the state insurance, those who oversee the insurance, and then also the Attorney General. And I would love to see some suits for insurance fraud against the insurers. We see insurance fraud all the time against individuals, and hey, that's fine. If you're an individual and you're trying to scam them, you should be prosecuted. But what I have seen in my investigation is a systematic abuse of the insurance system where these companies know that they're lowballing their claims, their policy holders, they know they're not paying out, and they just keep doing it anyway. Those people ought to be sued, but they also ought to be prosecuted wherever possible, and we want to work with local and state enforcement authorities to see that that happens. Believe me, I have the power of the subpoena on the Homeland Security Committee, so I just say again to our friends in the insurance industry in Missouri, we love you right up until you don't pay your claims. And if you don't pay your claims, you're going to get a subpoena from me, and I hope you'll hear from enforcement authorities. These people need their claims paid, and they need them paid immediately. Immediately. I love the idea of a moratorium, by the way. Didn't you ask about that? On electricity claims. I hope they'll do that. I want to say for the record.
Do you concerns that premiums will also rise if insurance companies take advantage of disaster
better not be. That's price gouging, which is forbidden by Missouri law. So you can't just rate. This is the same thing with owners of convenience stores. You cannot jack up prices. Water, same deal. We have anti-price gouging laws in Missouri. I know the Attorney General will enforce those in a very tough manner, and that includes insurance. So we don't want to see premiums all of a sudden tomorrow skyrocket. That's not how it works. We want to see the insurance companies pay what they should pay.
And same with homeowners being dropped. We've seen that after disasters where homeowners.
Same deal. That's the same deal. That's illegal. You cannot, as an insurer, you cannot drop off somebody just because you don't want to pay their claim or try to beat them to it. And before they file a claim, you drop them. That again would run afoul of our protection, our consumer protection laws. And believe me, I'll be talking to the Attorney General to make sure that those get enforced. I know he loves to enforce them. He's good at it. Thank you guys for covering this. And I want to say again, it has been the spirit and the heart that I see in this community is incredible. And what the work that the police chief has done, the fire chief has done, has been absolutely outstanding. All of our law enforcement, terrific work from the mayor. And now the federal government needs to do its part. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for covering this.